Greetings, sturdy pilgrim. I'm Garth Marenghi. Many of you will be aware that during the 1980s I wrote and co-starred with my publisher Dean Lerner in Garth Marenghi's Darkplace, a seminal TV programme. What many of you will not know is that myself and several of the key cast members decided to go on a little aventure, which is French for trip, to the south coast of England, where we would be confronted by horror, true horror in the real world, as we went to Hastings. Due to a chance encounter with a very keen amateur actor and his large countryside estate, we were able to film an off-set version of Darkplace and be able to introduce some very unique horror themes, I'm sure you'll agree. Such is the scale that now I've been able to sell this to 7TV, who have been more than keen to inject a little capital into this golden age of horror. However, due to legal obligations towards 7TV, I have been able to produce a highly charged action scene from the dread cult of the Hastings Marshes, a Darkplace parable, for your viewing unpleasure. So sit back and enjoy.
The story so far. In a team-building exercise to purchase Kaz some new shoes, Dr. Rick Douglas, MD, and his buddy, Dr. Lucien Sanchez, along with Thornton Reed, have come to Hastings. As they move through the burnt-out remains of abandoned food banks, they have unfortunately, unwittingly, announced their presence to the evil cult of the dread Hastings Marshes. Now they must fight their way back to the railway station and the safety of Coonan Beach. The Darkplace crew started the action, and in an unfortunate incident which has nothing to do with poor editing at all, Thornton Reed found himself up in the north part of the board, next to the evil cultists. He immediately sprung into action, firing with his shotgun at the nearest gigantic fish monster, and then retreated backwards, not willing to abandon his friends to their deaths, as he could easily have made his way to the railway station without any real difficulty, but he do not roll like that. Being a loner, of course, Rick Douglas, MD, has moved up and has moved into contact with the first of the interesting packages that he's found. Will he find an impressive food parcel? We do not know. A nasty, dastardly fishfolk cultist has appeared next to Kaz as another result of nothing to do with bad editing, and Dr. Lucien Sanchez opened fire and takes him out straight away. Dr. Sanchez then orders the two hospital security guards to follow him up the board in towards the safety of Hastings.
Have got yourselves involved with a cult from Hastings.
As the employees of Darkplace move back towards Romford and safety, they realize just how evil and numerous their opponents are as the evil cult surges forwards. So many horrible monsters joining the fight.
The local gentleman playing the High Priest in this production was actually a very keen local amateur theatrics man himself, and was happy to be in our production. We actually found the fishmen costumes in his basement, and we used them. Well, we knew he'd be up for it once he was involved, but we wish we'd been known how long that they'd been in his basement, and I apologise for any damage done to the people wearing the costumes on the day. However, in legal terms, any health drawbacks that they may be experiencing at this point in their lives are nothing to do with those costumes. Those spores could have been anywhere.
They continue to move up though, and Kaz finally finds a new pair of shoes inside the pile of crates, and the hospital security take up firing positions along the hedge line, but to no effect as yet. Dr. Rick Douglas finds something more useful than shoes, but he is a man after all, and takes up a decent firing position to cover the escape of his colleagues. For his part, Thornton Reed socks the gigantic fish monster in the jaw and then backs up safe to safety. But will it be enough? As the High Priest continues his insane chanting, his followers sweep forward to seize the international aid boxes. And as the evil fish monsters attack from all sides, swiping at the Darkplace management with disgusting claws.
The soldiers were very happy to help us in this production. It was great. I have a great deep respect for them and their craft, and it was great to see them looking up to me every now and again during filming. They were clearly very impressed with me, although by that point they obviously didn't have the capacity for acting that I had, or Todd, or even Dean by that point in filming Darkplace.
The gentlemen in the army gear were actually real members of Her Majesty's Armed Forces at the time. A couple of lads who'd got themselves into a spot of bother at one of my gentlemen's clubs, and they owed me a favour and were only too happy to appear in our little production as soldiers to make up for this. I have a great deal of respect for members of the armed forces, and they're always welcome at any of my establishments, as long as they know to keep their hands to themselves.
In a firefight of such intensity that even the pond moved due to accidental happenings on the set, the Darkplace crew have engaged in a seesaw battle in the center of the board over the objective counters, and Douglas himself has used an ancient curio he found in a Darkplace vending machine to mollify the Deep One that was attacking him, and it has joined his side for the time being. He is truly wise of the fishmen, and yes, this is a disgusting fight, and as everything is all to play for at this point in time. The fight intensifies. Cultists leap across the barricades and slash the first Darkplace security guard to death, only to turn the knife upon himself in fanatical zeal and kill himself for the good of Hastings. What a disgusting place to live.
They hated Garth. He made them walk around on their knees because he couldn't stand how much taller they were than him.
I don't hate Hastings, alright? It's not just that it's dirty. It's just not as sophisticated as Romford or anywhere else along the south coast of England. Christ, even Eastbourne's got top loader, and Brighton made the Levellers. Hastings, what have you provided to the world?
And using his skills as an agent for his country in Vietnam, Dr. Rick Douglas, MD, manages to slip through the lines of the cultists in some deep cover work, as the rest of his crew decide that they're going to make a break for the safety of the railway station as well, all except Kaz, of course, who's busy looking at her shoes that she's just found. Women.
The love interest in this special edition of Darkplace was actually played by the girlfriend of the time. Madeline Wall, our usual fourth Doctor, shall we say, was unavailable due to an unfortunate outbreak of athlete's foot at the time, and so we had to do the field trip to the south coast without her. I don't think anyone really noticed too much, and unfortunately though, the young lady was not available for further productions after this.
And as the crazed chanting of the Hastings cultists fills the air, the High Priest turns and attempts to lure Dr. Rick Douglas, MD, back to the fray, but the brave, intelligent doctor is not to be disturbed. Meanwhile, Thornton Reed takes a chunk out of his skin as he's mauled by the evil Deep One. the cultist, the high cultist of Cthulhu, Hastings, whatever, attacks the remaining security guard and kills him with his coral blade. This last-minute bloodthirstiness is all for naught, though, as Dr. Rick Douglas, MD, storms away and towards the safety of Hastings railway station, followed quickly by Dr. Lucian Sanchez, and then Thornton Reed using his outdoorsmanship to first slip away from the evil, disgusting fishman, and then leaves the table as well. This concludes the game, as only Kaz is left to her fate. She may need to be rescued in a future episode of Darkplace Parables.
I don't mind working with women. I don't know where I've got this reputation from. Although I will say they're very flaky. Well, the woman we were working with this time, I don't remember her name, she was one of Dean's, she refused to film the final climactic scene in which the giant fish god, unfortunately, very tastefully in a ritual, impregnates her, and she needs to be sacrificed to save the world. A scene which would probably have elevated this production to the utmost pinnacle of horror in the genre that I have ever been able to achieve, but I guess she didn't want to do it. And in deciding that she didn't want to do it, she also denied Todd Rivers the chance to use one of the greatest gag lines that I've ever written, and I know to this day he wishes he'd had a chance to say it. I have to be honest, I was disappointed in her, yes, but I guess some people just aren't as professional as you'd hope they'd be. Brings a whole new meaning to the phrase, sleeping with the fishes. That line could have made my career. Bitch.